Aren't books the best? Well, it's the end of February, so I'm going to go over all of the books that I read in February and if I liked them or if I didn't. So we're going to start with my two book club books that I read. The first one was The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. Christina Lauren? Yes, Christina Lauren, um, which was kind of like what I expected, which was the idea of soulmates actually being paired through genetics. So you kind of put in a swab of DNA, you send it to a company, and they will tell you your DNA match for other people in their company. So, or that have submitted DNA. It was a romance. So it was a lot later than I kind of expected. I didn't realize how much of a romance it was. So it was very predictable, very much a Hallmarky kind of thing, but it was cute. The other book I read for my second book club was the book James by Percival Everett, which was the story of Jim, who was the character in the Huck Finn, Tom Sawyer, Mark Twain books. This was not what I expected at all, which I don't know why I didn't. I think it's probably because I don't remember the Mark Twain books very well, even though I know I read them. Um, but it actually starts with when Jim and Huck basically meet on the island and um, take the raft down the river and all of the adventures that they go through. So Jim is an older man and his daughter and child um, are still slaves, and he's trying to figure out how to get himself free, and then that way he can also buy his wife and daughter. And then it's all of the different things that he encountered as a slave and a black man up to and during the Civil War. So that was actually very, very good, and I heard a lot of good things about it, so I was excited about that one. The other books that I read this month were Mary Poppins, which I really enjoyed. It was really cool to see the differences in the book to the movie. And then also, if you ever watched the Saving Mr. Banks, the Walt Disney kind of movie that came out with Tom Hanks a couple years ago, more than a couple, probably like, I don't even know, maybe 15 years ago. It was very, very good. But it was interesting to see the three different versions of Mary Poppins between the movies and this book. So I liked going back and rereading or reading this, even though it's a kid's book. Um, An Academy for Liars. I also read that, which was Dark Academia. Didn't love it. It was fine. Fantasy, talking about the power of persuasion and actually being able to enter each other's minds and forcing people to do things. It was just alright in my opinion. I did read a bunch of nonfiction though, like I always do. So I'm going to go through those really quickly too. Madly Deeply, it's called just Madly Deeply. It was the Diaries of Alan Rickman. It was literally his writings of every single day for like almost 20 years. It was not for me, but I do love Alan Rickman, and it was interesting to see what he thought was important, some of his thoughts, and also leading up to his death, the different things he did, the people that he cherished, all of those kinds of things. I also read Friends, Lovers, and The Big Terrible Thing by Matthew Perry. That was his biography that I wanted to read this month. It was very good, very heartbreaking. You don't realize all of the demons that somebody is going through, but also interesting to see his career, his movies, his television stuff, and how that all affected him. Grit by Angela Duckworth just talks about how gritty you are. It was more of a scientific book talking about how you succeed based on personality. It was okay. Stories I Only Tell My Friends by Rob Lowe. That was his biography that he put out, which I very much enjoyed because I love him and I love his movies. So hearing him talk about all the different movies that he's been through, the connections that he made through them, I just really enjoyed his biography. It was very fun. And now that he's on TV back again with a new variety of game show, it's just kind of a fun thing. Into the Wild by Jon Krakauer. That was interesting because it was a young man who went out into Canada, into the wilds Canada, and wanted to live off the land and explore, and he was more of a stoic, and he just wanted to get in touch with himself. And you don't hear anything about the gentleman himself that went to Canada and Alaska, but you actually find out more about the author who was a journalist and wanted to find out more about him. So he tries to find all of the people that gave him rides in the camps that he stayed with throughout his journey. So that was actually very good. What else did I read? Oh, I read a lot. Think Like a Monk by Jay Sheedy. Kind of a way to get back into your brain, is more of a look at a monk's perspective on different things in life. That was cute. The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. I was suggested this by somebody else. I didn't really care for it, but it was the idea of getting unstuck if you are a creative type. Be Useful by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Another biography written by him. I don't know very much about him. I never have. So it was interesting to see what he thought was important enough to put into a book. And it was interesting. Talked about his movies, talked about his career in politics, talked about his bodybuilding, but it was mainly more of a motivation book. So that was interesting, the fact that he went in that route. The Third Door by Alex Banayan. That was a college kid that had this grand plan to interview all of these very successful top of the game people like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and Lady Gaga. And if he did get to succeed, to actually interview them or not, but he wanted to try and get them to answer questions so that his generation would then be impacted by them. It was good. I did not like the writing style, but it was interesting to see his journey through all of those things. Also, Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. Another biography talking about how she deals with everything that she goes through as well, being a boss, and the motivation and being a woman, and talking about all of her things through improv, through Saturday Night Live, through her family, through her TV shows. I just have been really into celebrity biographies lately. So those have been my things that I read in February, and I'm looking forward to March because I got a lot of good stuff coming up. Well, I'm going to go read.